Hey y'all, I went to see One Battle After Another yesterday and I'm going to review it. I've got my cup of tea here with me. So let's talk about it. So, One Battle After Another is a Paul Thomas Anderson film. And if you know anything about film, you know that he is one of the most respected directors of our generation. And this is a highly anticipated film. And I was so excited for it as well. I was very much looking forward to this one. So, a very, very quick synopsis of this film. It's essentially about a kind of washed out former revolutionary freedom fighter who's Leonardo DiCaprio's character, and he is looking for his missing daughter who is taken by a former an arch enemy from his past revolutionary freedom fighter days. So that is essentially a very, very quick kind of synopsis of this film, and that gives you an idea of what's happening. So this is a star-studded movie. I mean, it's quite literally bloated with like heavy hitters. You've got Leonardo DiCaprio, Benicio del Toro, Sean Penn, Tiana Taylor, Regina Hall. We've got the newcomer in Chase Infinity, who is playing Willa, who's the daughter. So this was a big budget film, and it's a powerhouse. So that was really fascinating. And it's an adventure, it's action, it's satire, it's subversive, it's political, it's layered, it's complex. There's actually a lot going on in this one. And for me, it felt very much like a classic kind of 90s, 2000s action film, which really makes it stand out from what we've been seeing lately. So I loved that. I really did. The things that stood out for me positively for this one was honestly, firstly, just how, as I said, the feel of this film. It felt very much like a nod to the classics. It does not feel like a film that was made in the last year or two. It felt very much bold, very embodied, and like I said, a real nod to kind of classic action films, even a bit of a nod to blaxploitation a little bit. So it was really, really, it felt different. This feels different. This feels very bold. It feels very out there, and I absolutely loved that. It was an almost 3 hour film that actually went by. It did not feel like it was 3 hours long at all. And my other standout for this film was the characters, was the performances. I mean, every single person in this film shows up completely on form. Everybody clocked in and they were ready to work. And everyone was actually a standout. Like, everyone was a standout. But I absolutely adored Sean Penn. I mean, Sean Penn showed up. He was hilarious. He was ridiculous. And his character was so fascinating. And he absolutely performed the hell out of that role. It was fantastic. I know some people are even talking about a potential supporting actor nomination at the end of the year, and I would not be surprised. I thought he absolutely killed it. I thought the ladies killed it. Tiana Taylor was incredible. I think she's fast solidifying herself as a pretty great like newcomer in the acting world. Like, she really arrests the screen. She really takes over whenever she's there, and she was amazing. Honestly, Leonardo DiCaprio, what can you say? I thoroughly enjoyed his performance. I absolutely loved seeing him on screen. I think he was fantastic. I mean, surprise, surprise, it's Leonardo DiCaprio, but these movies, when I do see him, I pretty much get reminded every time why he is who he is. I mean, he's fantastic. He was so believable as this character of a kind of sketchy dad who is stoned and drunk all the time. But it was so believable, and yeah, he absolutely killed it out of the park. So the performances were such a standout for me. Really fantastic. And I also want to give a nod to another aspect that I really liked about this film, was how female characters were handled. So this is very much a film where women are doing a lot of the driving force. These kind of three main women, and I really loved that. That's something I'm always paying attention to, especially how female characters, especially how Black female characters are handled. And each of the female characters were quite complex. They were quite layered, especially Tiana Taylor's one as well. She was a complicated woman. She was very embodied, very unapologetically sensual, let's just say that. Very subversive and passionate. And yeah, she was unapologetic. She was neurotic too, but it felt fresh. It felt complex and layered. She was not one-dimensional. I really was obsessed with that. I'm obsessed with writing female characters that are not flat and one-dimensional. And she was a subversive character, right? But I loved how that was handled. I thought that was refreshing. I really did. To see a woman who is not necessarily upholding certain feminine expectations was great. That was really, really great. You'll see, without spoiling the film, you will see the kind of mother that she is and how the whole thing unfolds. And that to see on screen, you know, women or groups of people who do not necessarily do exactly as they're expected to is interesting and refreshing. So I absolutely adored that. I really did. So I just loved it. I think this movie was super, super entertaining. I really do. I felt so entertained. It did not skip a beat. I think the cultural commentary or the political commentary was very fascinating and very, very relevant for the times. And it was showing the ridiculousness of how certain groups of people behave and think without spoiling it. So I found that quite bold. It's a really bold film for this time. It really is. And I'm very fascinated to see how the wider audience is going to take it. But it's incredibly bold and incredibly relevant for this very specific time, especially in the United States, but I think all over the world. So I loved that. I think it's really brave of PTA to do this, essentially. Another thing was, the only thing that I think I had an issue with this film with was at the end, I felt that there was no specific kind of purpose to this. I didn't quite know exactly what the purpose was with this film, and I don't know if there always has to be a purpose, if there always has to be an underlying lesson or a goal. I mean, someone could say there was an agenda per se. I don't like films that have agendas. I don't like, you know, preachy films that are trying to push something on us. But there already was an undertone to this. But I was trying to figure out what the depth of what this film was actually trying to say kind of was. I kind of struggled with that a bit. I didn't really get. I was like, okay, this has been fantastic, but actually I'm trying to figure out what the point was. Like, was there something there, or was it just an action-packed adventure with great political and cultural commentary and fantastic performances and fantastic stunts and everything? I don't really know, unless there doesn't have to be. Maybe there doesn't have to be a specific lesson or something that you necessarily take out of it. So I feel like I didn't really take something specific out of this film. And that I found that quite interesting. So I always like to take something out of the things that I watch, but maybe that was not the purpose of this and I got the wrong end of the stick. So I'm curious to know what you guys will think. But that's how I felt about this one. I loved it. It was very entertaining. This particular point that I made at the end was not something that took away from this film, because everything else is working so well that it was, you know, completely overshadowed this particular point that I made. So I'm so interested to see how you guys find it. Comment below what you think. and I would love to hear from it. So I will see you in the next video.